We start in China, where President Xi Jinping has said reunification with Taiwan must be fulfilled. His comments come at a time of heightened military tension in the region. They also come a day before Taiwan, which China views as a breakaway province, celebrates its National Day.
As the tension between China and Taiwan continues to escalate, many experts and analysts predict that it is only a matter of time before China takes control of the island.
New numbers in this morning from Taiwan's defense ministry are highlighting the ongoing escalation of military tensions in that region.
The two countries, separated by the Taiwan Strait, have had a complicated history shaped by cultural, economic, and political differences.
And after 70 years of living with effective sovereignty, many people here have become accustomed to it.
China has continuously claimed Taiwan as a part of its territory, while Taiwan has maintained its independence and sovereignty. In recent years, China has been increasing its military presence and economic influence in the region, leading to speculation that it is only a matter of time before they attempt to fully incorporate Taiwan into their territory. This potential conflict could be devastating not only for the Asia-Pacific region, but also on a global scale. Despite efforts by the international community to maintain the balance in the region, the question remains: why is China's takeover of Taiwan seemingly inevitable? Before we delve into the conflict, it's crucial that we first understand the history that has shaped the complex relationship between China and Taiwan. China sees self-ruled Taiwan as a breakaway province that will eventually be under Beijing's control, and has not ruled out the use of force to take the island. However, Taiwan sees itself as distinct from the Chinese mainland, with its constitution and democratically elected leaders. Taiwan has strong links to China, its biggest trading partner, and many Taiwanese have business and family connections across the strait. Tensions between Taiwan and China have been on the rise since the election of former Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen in 2016. Tsai rejected the cross-strait formula endorsed by her predecessor, Ma Ying-jeou, which aimed to enhance cross-strait ties.
The idea is this: we don't have a need to declare ourselves an independent state, but we are an independent country.
Meanwhile, China has been exhibiting increasingly aggressive behavior, including the presence of its fighter jets near the island. Some analysts fear that a Chinese attack on Taiwan could lead to conflict with the United States. It is a well-known fact that China is preparing for a possible war with the United States in an attempt to reunite with Taiwan by force. The Chinese President Xi Jinping has instructed the People's Liberation Army to prepare for war by 2027. Still, it does not necessarily mean that China will launch a war by then. Furthermore, China may have reservations about its capacity to execute what would arguably be the most significant amphibious assault since D-Day in World War II. Nevertheless, several top US military officials have predicted that China will invade Taiwan by 2025 or 2027. Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party view unification with Taiwan as essential for the fulfillment of Xi's China dream, the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. The CCP aims to achieve this objective by 2049, which marks the 100th anniversary of the People's Republic of China's founding. Therefore, the CCP considers Taiwan as an existential issue, similar to how Russian President Vladimir Putin views Ukraine. If China were to launch a war over Taiwan, it could not afford to lose.
China's national defense budget would increase by more than 7%, the biggest jump in 5 years, and so
China is building its military and nuclear arsenal on a scale not seen since World War II, and all signs suggest it's sticking to ambitions to be ready to invade Taiwan by 2027, a top US admiral testified. Despite Beijing's economic challenges, its official defense budget has increased by 16% over recent years to more than $223 billion. Its advances in hypersonic missile technology puts Beijing at an advantage, as the US hasn't yet deployed an equivalent. China is churning out warships and missiles faster than any country since World War II. Chinese planes and warships simulate attacks on Taiwanese and US targets. Asian sea lanes are dotted with Chinese military outposts and packed with Chinese Coast Guard and fishing vessels that shove neighbors out of areas claimed by Beijing without any hesitation. Meanwhile, China is also backing Russia's brutalization of Ukraine and massing forces on the Sino-Indian border. China also has growing motives for war as territorial disputes intensify. For starters, peaceful means of reunifying Taiwan are disappearing fast. In 1995, more Taiwanese citizens considered themselves exclusively Chinese than Taiwanese, and more favored moving toward unification with China than toward independence. According to recent surveys, a majority of the population in Taiwan identifies exclusively as Taiwanese. Only a small percentage identifies as exclusively Chinese. While most Taiwanese support maintaining the existing situation, almost half of the population prefers eventual independence over unification. Meanwhile, the United States has tightened its relationship with Taiwan, with the US President Joe Biden declaring at least 4 times that the United States would defend the island from a Chinese attack.
Are you willing to get involved militarily to defend Taiwan if it comes to that?
Yes.
As Washington and Taipei overhaul their militaries for a conflict with China, Beijing is growing more alarmed about the fate of the territory it wants the most. China's military power has grown, but its more extensive geopolitical outlook has become increasingly pessimistic. Recently, China's economy has been experiencing stagnation and shrinking compared to the United States. Productivity has decreased and the debt has skyrocketed. Even though statistics on the problem are no longer released, it is believed that upwards of 20% of young adults were unemployed as of mid-2023, and the number of unemployed individuals may be much higher. Wealthy and well-educated Chinese are leaving the country in droves, taking their money and children with them. The aging crisis in China is also expected to worsen in the coming years, as the country will lose 70 million working-age adults, while gaining 130 million senior citizens over the next decade, marking the worst aging crisis in world history. Finally, China faces an increasingly hostile strategic environment. The world's wealthiest countries are choking off its access to high-end semiconductors, the lifeblood of economic and military innovation, and slapping new trade and investment restrictions on Beijing every year. Anti-China pacts, such as AUKUS, the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, and the US-Japan-South Korea trilateral agreements are growing rapidly. China's only great power ally, Russia, has thrown its military into a meat grinder in Ukraine and turned public opinion in many European countries against Beijing.
The reunification of the motherland is a historical inevitability.
As we approach the inevitability of invasion, it is important to consider the many factors that will impact China's decision-making. These factors are varied and include everything from perceived US and Taiwanese provocations to sea levels of the Taiwan Strait, a perception of US weakness or domestic distraction because of a presidential transition, as well as the status of the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East and what impact that has on US and global attention. China is closely monitoring the strain the Ukraine war has put on the United States arsenal and whether this pressure would force the United States to blink in a standoff with China. Another factor is the provocative trips by high-ranking US officials to Taiwan. When then US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan in August 2022, Beijing responded with forceful and coercive military, economic, and diplomatic measures, including large-scale military exercises around Taiwan.
And in just a second here, we'll set foot on Taiwanese territory. The first time a US Speaker of the House has visited Taiwan since 1997.
So can Taiwan defend itself? In the event of a military conflict, China's armed forces would have a significant advantage over Taiwan. China is the second largest spender on defense globally and has access to a wide range of capabilities, including naval power, missile technology, aircraft, and cyber attacks. Some Western experts believe that Taiwan's only option would be to try to delay a Chinese attack, prevent a shore landing by amphibious forces, and carry out guerrilla strikes while waiting for assistance from other countries. The United States, a potential ally, could provide assistance to Taiwan. However, Washington's stance on defending Taiwan in case of an attack has been a subject of doubt for decades, a factor that adds to the complexity of the situation. The US officially only recognizes one China, which is the People's Republic of China, and any change in this stance, such as the US recognizing Taiwan as an independent country, could lead to military escalation. One day, Taiwan might experience a fate similar to Ukraine. However, the timing of such a scenario will depend on evolving circumstances, including Beijing's perceptions of the threat posed by the Taiwanese independence movement, Washington's stance on the Taiwan issue, and China's military and economic posture. Changes in these factors may either heighten the probability of an all-out invasion campaign or contribute to the maintenance of peace.